Hello, dear students. Today, I will start with the digestive system of pigeon. So, you know that pigeon is the bird, and digestive system of the bird which is well developed. You know that the birds which are adapted for the aerial life. Pigeon, there are different types of the birds are there according to their feeding habit and types of food they are eating. So pigeon is the granivorous bird, feeds on cereals, pulses, and seeds. So beak, which is adapted for the granivorous bird, that is to pick up the different types of the grains from the ground as well as from the crop. The digestive system is complete and include the alimentary canal and digestive gland. Alimentary canal divide into foregut, midgut and hindgut. So it is divided into the three parts. Foregut, which is the anterior part of the alimentary canal, which having mouth, buccal cavity, pharynx, esophagus and stomach. So these are the parts of the foregut. You know that the mouth, which is the beak of the bird, so it leads to the buccal cavity and it contains tongue. You know that the birds which are singing also due to the presence of the tongue. Internal nares are there and salivary glands which are also there in the alimentary canal and the buccal cavity. Teeth are absent. Teeth are not present in the birds. Buccal cavity which is followed by the pharynx and pharynx to esophagus. So buccal cavity to pharynx and tubular structure present, which is called the esophagus, which is there present in the neck region. So esophagus is narrow distensible tube. It is connected to bilobed sac, which is called as the crop. So crop is the special character of the bird, particularly the granivorous birds. The crop stored the food and it secretes mucus which helps to moisten and soften the grains. During the breeding season, secrete nutritive fluid in the crop by both the sexes called as pigeon's milk. So in the breeding season, in the crop, there is a special milk which has been produced and that is useful for the young ones. The young ones which are fed on the pigeon's milk. Then you can see the diagram of the digestive system of pigeon. You can see here. So the anterior part, there is a beak. Then there is a buccal cavity to pharynx. So these are the parts inside the mouth, and then there is a esophagus. So esophagus, which is a tubular part, and esophagus which is followed by the crop. Crop is the peculiar organ in the granivorous birds where the birds which are storing the food or the grain in the crop. It has been moistened by the mucus. Then it goes down to the stomach. The stomach, which is divided into the two parts. One is the proventriculus and another one is the ventriculus. So ventriculus, which is commonly called as the gizzard. So proventriculus, which is the anterior stomach, and ventriculus is the posterior stomach. So you know that about the gizzard which is thick walled, and this is a grinding organ in the bird. The grains which has been grind in the gizzard, and then it is going down to the intestine. So intestine having two types. One is the small intestine, another one is the large intestine. So small intestine, which is the anterior part, is called as the duodenum, and the posterior part of the small intestine, which is called as the ileum. And this ileum, which is followed by the rectum is a large intestine, and from the large intestine where the undigested food has been stored, and through the cloaca the undigested food has been expelled out or thrown out from the intestine. So then there is a stomach. So stomach has two distinctive chambers. There is the anterior chamber which is called the proventriculus and the posterior chamber which is called as the ventriculus, which is also called as the gizzard. All of the gizzard, as I told you, that it is muscular and contains small pebbles, stones and grit called as a gastrolith, which are swallowed by the bird and act as a grinding mill. So in the gizzard, the food or the grains has been grind into the small pieces, and then it goes down to the intestine. The midgut contains small intestine which include anterior duodenum and posterior ileum. It is the ileum which is the U shape, capital U shape. The large intestine is called as a rectum, and the rectum open into the cloaca. So rectum which is finally open into the cloaca. So you can understand that which are the parts of the digestive system of the pigeon. So there is a beak which is called as a mouth. So beak open into the buccal cavity. So in the buccal cavity there is a tongue. Teeth are absent. Then the buccal cavity which is open into the pharynx. So pharynx which is open into the esophagus. So esophagus which is the tubular part, and esophagus which is open into the stomach. So stomach which is divided into the two parts, that is proventriculus and ventriculus. Ventriculus which is commonly called as a gizzard, and in the gizzard there is a muscular wall, and with the help of this gizzard the food has been grind. Before that, below the esophagus there is a crop, and crop is the peculiar character of the granivorous birds, and in the crop the grains has been stored. It is moistened by the mucus, and at the time of the breeding in the crop there is a secretion of the pigeon's milk in the male and the female crop, and the young ones has been fed by this pigeon's milk. So then there is two parts of the intestine. One is the small intestine, another one is the large intestine. So small intestine, the anterior part is called as the duodenum, and the posterior part which is called as the ileum, and the large intestine which is called as the rectum, and the rectum which is open into the cloaca. So cloaca is the last part of the alimentary canal of the pigeon. So the last part, that is the physiology of the digestion of the food in case of the pigeon. As you know that the food which is mainly grains, the cereals and the pulses they feeds on, they pick up the grains by the beak which is modified for picking the grains, and softened in the mouth by the mucus. Then it's stored in the crop, and then it passes into the proventriculus, that is the anterior part of the stomach, with gastric juices are acted upon it and then enter into the gizzard. So gizzard is the ventriculus, and broken down by the grinding action. The partial digested food passes through the pylorus into the duodenum, and in the duodenum it mixes with the bile, pancreatic juice and intestinal juice. The enzymes present in the juices are helps to digest proteins, carbohydrates and fats. So bile which is help in the digestion and absorption of the fat, digestion, absorption and assimilation which is also takes place in the small intestine, and the undigested food material has been remained in the rectum, and finally it passes through the cloaca. So this is the end of the digestive system of the pigeon. What you understand that the pigeon has the well developed digestive system, and from the mouth means beak to cloaca there are different parts of the digestive system, the different types of the glands which are present in the alimentary canal. One is the liver is the largest digestive gland, another one is the pancreas. So these two glands which are there, which are helping for the digestion of the food in case of the pigeon. So this is the end of the digestive system of pigeon. In the next lecture we'll discuss about the ruminant stomach, which is present in the herbivore animals. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much for your listening this my lecture. Thanks a lot.